Yeah, we didn't hear a damn.
We didn't hear anything.
Kani Kick It Podcast, Season 3, Episode 4.
5. But who's counting?
Yeah, you're doing the Joe Budden thing where he forgets his episodes all the time. That's you.
Yeah.
All right, we're episode something.
There we go.
Terrible episode not to edit out.
I'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. All right, partners in crime, introduce yourselves.
Kyle,
I am.
the sports guy. This is how we doing it through Zoom. So I just took initiative. But you know what it is, man. Back for another one.
What's up?
And I am August James, aka City of August, 1/3 of the Can I Kick It podcast. Yeah, let's do it.
Get real professional. Okay, so since we last talked, Raptors lost to Philly, even though I said they'd win. I think they beat the Spurs. Beat Chicago, most notably. We had another good win. Who else did we beat there?
Atlanta.
Atlanta we beat. Was that it?
Well, we lost to Chicago last night.
And we
That was
lost
beat.
to Dallas, too. Luka put that work on the whole team.
By one.
Yeah. Great effort to try and come back, but not this time. Not this time. Not another greatest comeback in history against those guys. So, you know, I'm just gonna kick it off. What stands out to me the most is there was a lot of talk about who this team looks better with on the floor and without on the floor. I was saying that Scotty, when he's not on the floor, this team kind of looks a little bit better. And a lot of people were saying that Fred didn't look, they looked a lot better without Fred on the floor. And I think Fred took that personal.
Indeed.
Great bounce back games from him both times after the injury or whatever injury he's on. But yeah, that's one of my biggest things.
I actually love that that's where you started, because that's kind of what I was thinking after the last episode. I'm like, okay, let me watch now and see what Scotty looks like when he's on, what the Raptors look like when Scotty's on the court or not on the court. And then Fred had the injury. Then Pascal had an injury. Now Scotty has an injury. So it's like, I'm not really getting a good feel in terms of where this team looks better when who's in the lineup and who's not in the lineup. I think I've just come to the conclusion that we need all three guys in the lineup, yo. Like, that's what it is. Word.
Yeah, I remember watching the Atlanta game, and I think I messaged you guys and said, hey, I get the feeling that the Raptors just gave Fred a rest day. I was wrong. Clearly, it was an injury. But I felt like they gave him a rest day so that they can play the bigger lineup against Trey, and it was working. So my thought there was, if this was somehow intentional and they just didn't put it out there, what does that mean if the Raptors play Atlanta in the playoffs? And to Kyle's point, he told me, I don't know if you remember.
Enlighten me.
You basically said that if the Raptors play Atlanta in the playoffs, it's a non-starter because the Raptors are just going to eat their food.
I do agree with that. And that was before Atlanta beat up Milwaukee last night. But that's neither here nor there. I still feel the same way that I feel about it, as long as I think Pascal is the real glue to this team right now. As long as Pascal's in the lineup, I feel like, we got a chance against pretty much anybody in the league. But that was a good observation, though, because we gave Atlanta fits. I think we ended up smashing them by damn near 40. And then we did the same thing to the Spurs the following night with that big lineup.
Yeah, but the Spurs had injuries. The two leading scorers didn't play. It wasn't like that. That just wasn't a fair fight. From the second the ball went up in the air, you knew the Raptors were going to win.
Who's on the Spurs?
Nobody.
Keldon Johnson, but he was out.
Exactly. They have nobody, and their best nobody was out.
Jakob Pertl.
This can't
Jakob
be.
Pertl. What's that other kid's name? Vassell.
Trent Vassell, I think his name is.
Yeah, and those are their two top scorers, and they were out,
Okay. So
which left you with Dougie McBuckets and Jakob Pertl to lead the way. They stood no chance.
Yeah. But you want to know what though? Like teams deal with injuries all the time, and I'm not saying that it's apples to apples or whatever, but historically we've seen Toronto over the last few seasons missing players in and out the lineup and never get blown out by 40. Like I get it, those guys are young on the Spurs, but I think that's what you got to do when you got an inferior team that's missing players. It can't be take a night off and let it be a close game. You stomp on them and you finish them out, and that's what we did.
Yeah, but like I won't lie. As much as the NBA says that they're guarding against tanking, I feel this season a lot of teams, as we get further into the season, as there's separation between the cellar dwellers and the cream of the crop, you notice a lot of teams are taking a convenient night off, and a lot of teams are suddenly going to get blown out by 30 or 40. Like it's coming.
is that why the Lakers are losing so much?
Damn.
Oh, that ain't right.
All right. Sorry.
No comment, man.
We talked about the Raptors being poised for a big mid-season trade, and it looks like a lot of people that might not have been in play are now in play. The Clippers are in last place, or like in 11th. So Paul George is back in play. There's talk about the Lakers. I wouldn't say talk, but there's the narrative that the Lakers should trade AD and LeBron. And I mean, well, Brooklyn is clearly about to trade everybody. So you guys think that I think a dark horse in that trade talk is also what's going on with the Minnesota Timberwolves. I think the Minnesota Timberwolves are going to have to make a choice between Carl Anthony or Ant.
I think people are jumping the gun. Like we're barely 10 games into the season for a bunch of teams that need to adjust and get acclimated to each other. Like I remember I was a huge Miami Heat hater back in 2011. I was leading the group of people that was cheering against them when they started that season 7-8, and then found themselves in the NBA Finals. Right? Like when you put, especially in Minnesota, when you put Karl Anthony Towns alongside of what's his name? Rudy Gobert, you can't just expect to click immediately. Continuity's got to stand for something, right? There's a reason why the Raptors are a good team. It's because these guys have played with each other for years and years and years.
Yeah,
anyway,
that definitely seems to be the way that most of the league does things.
What's that?
Continuity, definitely. They're most of the league keeping teams together for years.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. We're watching all these teams think that, hey, let me just throw 3 superstars together and we're going to the finals and we'll just declare it. And we'll do everything short of having that pep rally that they had in Miami that year. Not 1, not 2, not 3. Like it's every team is pretty much following that. Some teams have that continuity happening, but that's by default. Right? Like the Raptors, that continuity is there because they like their team and they're moving forward with it. Boston, they like their team and they're moving forward with it. All these other teams, they're trying to grab a superstar and dismantle their team and just ride his coattails, but there's no trade there for them. Like there's very few teams, unless it's like a team like New Orleans that drafted well and has the pieces that they think can take them to the next level. But most of these teams aren't standing pat with what they have and trying to move forward. They're trying to make sure that if they don't have a superstar on their roster, they grab that superstar.
Okay, let me get my Stephen A. Smith on real quick here. See, I put the hat up for the forehead for the hairline. Real quick right here. Canada. August James has just lied to you.
Now you got to use a big word like that's blasphemy.
Yeah, I'll get to the blasphemy. First of all this talk about it's 8 games into the season is irrelevant for most of these teams. For Brooklyn, they've been a dumpster fire for 2 years. The Lakers did not make the playoffs last year. Minnesota celebrated on the play-in last year.
My bad. Sorry. Who did you have to win the East? I'm just curious. Just remind me. Who did you have?
Semantics. And to your point, New Orleans barely saved that team. They're so lucky Zion is healthy. So fucking lucky. Nobody knew that CJ Miles is going to be that good. They got
McCollum,
sorry.
Okay.
They got rid of Anthony Edwards. They were looking at getting rid of Brandon Ingram last year before they had that amazing play-in. Who else did they run through? Some other people, but it doesn't matter. They have not been a well-run organization for quite some time now. And before Zion came back, we were all worried about his weight and if he was going to stay. There was talk about him going to New York. It was a whole bunch of mess. That organization has not been, grade A for some time. And like I said, the Clippers, Kawhi hasn't played in years. Kawhi hasn't played since he won the championship. He barely played. He played that year when they went to the Western Conference Finals, but I think he missed a good chunk of that season too. He has not looked healthy at all. We don't know if he's ever going to play basketball again the way he's looking for like a full season. I don't even know if he's going to be healthy by the playoffs. So I think all those teams are looking at, this year as a mid-season shakeup might do them well, except for New Orleans. They're going to try and hang on, but I don't know how that's going to go.
As it pertains to, so you make a lot of great points. I can't even dispute a lot of those teams that have either been a dumpster fire, as you mentioned, or they're just trying to put together players that may not necessarily fit and think that they're going to get a championship run. Sorry, what's that?
Nothing. Go on. Sorry.
One thing I will say though is that even though teams are chasing that model, if you look at the last few winners, right? You have the Golden State Warriors. Their core has been together organically for God knows how long now, since Mark Jackson was around. They've won a handful of championships. You look at the Bucks, also another team that won the championship. They drafted well as well with Giannis. They got Chris Middleton. They went through their playoffs ups and downs, and they were able to break through. That's another team that didn't go chasing, big three superstars and thinking that they could win a championship. It was done organically. The Raptors, another team. Yes, I know we made the trade for Kawhi, but the rest of the team was pretty much built organically with, a few rotational pieces that were traded for at the trade deadline. You probably have to go back to that Lakers championship in the bubble, somewhere in between there, where, what's that?
Hardest championship ever.
Well, that's up for debate on another.
Softest championship ever.
It's gonna come out in like 10 years when these guys do the documentary and they talk about all the things that we don't know about the bubble that made it so difficult mentally and taxing on your mind to make it through that championship.
It's great for them to tell us that, but I don't think it takes a genius to realize that when you're secluded for months on end with the same people, it's kind of like being in a penitentiary, except you get first class everything. It doesn't take a genius to realize that that's, how can I put it?
Challenging.
That's challenging, right? When you're a competitor, like LeBron James and you're focused, then you're going to get to that championship much quicker than that 20-year-old kid who's just like, man, I miss my family, and might take a game or two off and then might go into game 6 down 3-2 thinking, you know what, if we lose, I'm going home. Just like that, like they're looking at that as its consolation. Whereas somebody like LeBron James, who's a focused competitor, is thinking we're not losing this. Like it's to his, that bubble was to his advantage.
Wait, let me take a foul
And-
and stop this fast break. See what I did there?
Yeah, it did.
It still
Smooth.
doesn't tell me why any of these teams are not potential candidates for a big Raptors midseason trade, which is how we started this whole these badly run teams.
True. So the point that I wanted to make that I was getting to though was that those teams have invested so heavily in the fact that they believe that putting together a group of stars will deliver them a championship, that I don't see those teams trying to break up those cores. I see them as trying to add to those cores. So from a Toronto standpoint, I don't see us grabbing a superstar when these teams are actually looking to pick up a superstar.
Okay,
Unless you want to trade Fred or trade Pascal, but I don't see that.
More of the noise.
From a Toronto,
Sorry, say what?
Kevin Durant.
Kevin Durant's not going anywhere.
You think
Yeah.
Durant's not going anywhere?
There's 4 years left on his contract, including this season. Rudy Gobert just got traded for a whole team. As a result, the Rudy Gobert trade complicated the Kevin Durant trade because they're thinking if Rudy Gobert went for 6 draft picks, then we need 20 for Kevin Durant.
That
Like
was before Kyrie got on his social media.
that was
Whole different thing.
so at this point, I personally still think it's a little too early, but it's disgruntled superstars around the 20 game mark of the season. I think that's when you'll start hearing the trade rumors milling about. And as far as the Raptors go, when people say that the Raptors are in prime position to pick up a superstar, it's mainly because of the way they're structured. They have bigs that are very versatile across the board. And players like an OG Anunoby, draft picks, Malachi Flynn, like those are pieces that other teams might be interested in and will find their way outside of Toronto. But if you ask me, OG's the next person to leave if there's a trade that does happen.
That would be devastating to our core,
I don't know if
personally.
it could be OG. I don't know.
Defensively, he's looking like a monster, bro.
Absolute monster. And
But that
the last thing you want when you trade for another superstar is for that superstar to have to defend other superstars.
Mm-hmm.
we're not trading for defense. Just be clear.
I
We
know,
are definitely not trading for defense. We're trading for somebody to fill that bucket. And as much as we love OG, even the young draft pick Koloko is showing that we can actually take a little more chances on defense because on the back end, there's somebody to clean up the paint in the event that someone gets by them.
Let me tell you guys something. These are the players that would be available to you that are so-called stars, superstars, okay? Ben Simmons. Want Ben Simmons? Don't think so.
Pass.
D'Angelo Russell. Don't think so. Maybe, but I don't think so. Russell Westbrook. Anybody want him?
6th man of the year, baby.
Yeah, I do think he's on that trajectory though, still. But for the stars that you think might be available, I don't think those are the guys that are available. It's those 3 guys that I just kind of mentioned there. You're not gonna get Ant. You're not getting Karl Anthony Towns. You're not getting Braun or AD, like Kevin Durant. It's not happening.
All right. I personally think the way this thing in Brooklyn has played out is they're gonna have to blow it up. They don't have a choice. They do not have a
Oh,
choice. You can try and you're not gonna bring back Kyrie. I'm surprised you didn't say Kyrie was available. I think Kyrie is the most available motherfucker in the NBA right now.
Kyrie was never coming back.
Kyrie can go anywhere he wants except for be around the Brooklyn Nets. I don't know if you saw that list that they gave him, but they gave him a list long enough to last him the whole fucking season. They do not want him back around the team. So
I agree. He's just not a guy that I think Masai would go and bring into our locker room right now.
But it has been well
We got
noted.
Fred. We're good.
Kevin Durant would like to go. We've seen that. So rather than hold on to KD or have a situation where he decides that he's going to say, oh, my hamstring or, my back or mental illness, whatever it may be, rather than hold on to KD and have that, you might as well try and get shit for him while, it's worth it. That's all I'm saying. In terms of the Clippers are in fucking 11th place. 11th. And Kawhi's played, I think, half a game.
Oh, John Wall was the other player.
But I think
I hear you say, but I hear no lies coming from my mouth.
okay, how about this? Let me ask you a question. Clippers are in 11th place. How many games are they out of first place? You make it seem like the season is done for them.
10 games in.
How many games back are they? Because something tells me it's like 5 games.
They are KAYHI games out of fucking first place. That's how many games out of fucking first place they are. Excuse my language. Demonetize me. But Kawhi has not played in like months. Does not look interested in playing. Does not look like he cares. And when he did play, I just want everybody to note that when he did play, he looked fucking fine. Absolutely fine. The whole talk about Kawhi coming back, he looked so much bigger. He looked so much stronger. And then this guy comes back, plays one game, and is like, you know what? I don't feel like it. Right?
And that game that he came back, he came off the bench and played like 13 minutes.
And had like
11 when he came back.
What's that?
He had 11 points in 13 minutes.
Yeah, he looked all right. Like
he looked fine.
Mm-hmm.
He hasn't played ever since.
Clearly he wasn't fine because where is he now?
I don't know, but I know that wherever he is, so are their first place chances. Along with their chances and their fucking finals chances.
So did we dodge a bullet by not signing this guy to a long-term contract? Because
we absolutely did. I don't know how we did, but we absolutely dodged the largest. It's not even a bullet. It's one of those big rockets that, like in Mario. You know those big bullets in Mario? I wish we had the edit for this shit so we could put it on the screen, but
I don't know. I don't agree. Like this whole story could have played out differently if he stayed back in Toronto because just remember that next season he played the whole season with the exception of the Western Conference Finals. He even played his return game in Toronto and blew us out. But he played the whole season, played in the bubble, and then got injured in the Western Conference semifinals, I think it was. And then they moved on to the Western Conference Finals and lost to the Lakers.
Okay,
the Lakers?
I got the math for you.
No, what am I saying? I'm mixing shit up.
They lost to Denver, I think.
The bubble year, they lost after being up 3-1. So he played the whole season. There was the next year that he got injured in the playoffs. So he played 2 full seasons and a playoff and a half, if anything.
Not a full season.
He played 2 full seasons.
I don't know how you don't think we dodged a bullet. I just want to say this. If we do the math, let's add Kawhi Leonard plus Nick Nurse playing Kawhi Leonard, Nick Nurse minutes. That equals.
Okay. Do you want to know how we didn't? You want to know how we didn't dodge a bullet? That very next. Hold on. Let me answer your question because I'm just really curious if you're going to agree with me. That very next season, he played the entire season, including the playoffs. Correct?
The bubble season.
Yeah, he played the entire season, including the bubble.
Not an entire season.
Of course, they played up until March, and then they played in the bubble. They played a total of 72 regular season games, and then the playoff series.
That big ass break in between. That's not a real season. Sorry.
True.
My point, quite simply, is this: in that season, he did not get injured. Now, let me ask you this question: that Raptors team, that was 30 seconds away from the Eastern Conference Finals. Do you think they would have been 30 seconds away from the Eastern Conference Finals if Kawhi Leonard was starting for that team? Do you not think they would have ate Miami's in the next round and won the championship back to back?
Absolutely. We might have
So how do we dodge a bullet if you're telling me we would have won another championship?
Yes. August, my good friend, we might have been the ones to win the hardest championship in NBA, but it was not us. Was not meant to be. And at this point, for whatever we would have had to, whatever it might have been for the stunted growth of Pascal Siakam, for not having Scotty Barnes, yeah, I think we did dodge a bullet.
I do not agree. I would have preferred to win the championship back to back, but that's just me. The hardest championship ever.
The hardest one. Absolutely.
Someone tells me we had the team built to win that championship in the bubble.
NBA history. Whole team going to the fucking Hall of Fame. Yeah.
But yo, they would have put an asterisk on both our championships then, because people still like to put an asterisk on our 2019.
Because everybody is so obsessed with superstars. If you have a superstar in your team if they say that your team is supposed to win the championship, then it's a legit championship. If a team that they didn't see it coming wins the championship, there's always going to be an asterisk. It's kind of like that year that we won it, Golden State swept Portland in the Western Conference Finals, 4-0. And then we win the championship. Of course, there's an asterisk. It's all, we're lucky they were injured. They just beat Portland in the Western Conference Finals without Kevin Durant, 4-0. And then we basically manhandled them. And so Kevin Durant is forced to come back. And now it's all, well, we're lucky Kevin Durant was there. Like, I don't know. That's probably a topic for another day. But it's just the asterisk always goes to the team that you didn't see it coming for.
So do you guys think that all these injuries will force Nick Nurse to play the bench more?
Chris Boucher, 0 points last night, yo. What's my next man? Thaddeus Young, 0 points last night, guy. Like, I got to thinking about this too. I'm like, I keep begging Nick Nurse to play the bench. Then when he plays the bench, these guys don't do nothing, yo. They don't do nothing, yo. Man, them need to like embrace their role and do some work off the bench, guy. Huh?
Is that a product of them not getting playing time?
I think those guys maybe Thad Young might have an excuse for that because I feel like he's playing a minute or two at a time. But Chris Boucher, I love Chris Boucher, man. Like, parlez-vous français, my guy. But like, he should have been better last night, yo. And he's getting the minutes. He's like our first reserve off the bench, yo.
Yeah, okay. It's like one bad.
I mean,
yeah, I know. I was just peeved off about that, yo.
So fresh. I mean, but the thing there at the same time is you got to be careful what you wish for, right? Because like everybody, it cracks me up. It's still early. We're like 10 games in. Look at Golden State. Look at everybody's already basically said, oh, no, they're washed. They got to trade Wiggins. They got to. And I've actually watched a lot of Golden State games. Steve Kerr is playing his bench heavy minutes. Like Moody, Kuminga, all those guys are on the court in the second quarter for damn near the entire second quarter, right? So as a result, they're putting themselves in a position where instead of being well ahead in the second half, they're just, it's a tight game.
Jordan Poole's been terrible.
Yeah, he's annoying.
Has he been?
I think he's the third Splash Brother. But yeah, I think it's about time that we wrap this up.
Yeah, I think we play Houston next. They better not fucking lose. Sorry, they better not lose. I think that's the game that they need. I think they're at the point where they need games. Ain't nobody trying to hear this. It's early shit. It's a championship basketball. Okay, the East is more competitive than it's ever been. All right, you're injured. You guys are begging for minutes. Ain't nobody trying to hear this. It's early shit. Nobody. I don't want to hear that shit. Y'all are coming from. This is the most continuous team in the history of continuous teams. I don't want to hear it's early. You guys are playing all summer together. I don't want to hear it's early. You guys know exactly what you're supposed to be doing. I don't want to hear that. Toronto don't want to hear that. We don't want to hear that. I'm at Stephen A right now. I don't want to hear that. Nobody wants to hear that. That's blasphemous. Okay? It ain't early. It ain't early. In fact, you're supposed to be on time. It's late.
Nah.
I can mess with your rap.
It's not that bad. You know what? I do. It's not that bad. Anyways, Houston, I hope they win. I'm looking for a win. See you guys in a week.
Yeah, we need some like wins before the next one, yo. I don't want to be cheese coming into that next episode, yo.
Of course.
I'm playing these guys.
Can I kick it? Like and subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. It helps us know what you like, what you don't like. Hit the dislike button, the like button, all that stuff. My name's Kani.
I don't know who you're pointing at. City of August.
Peace.